Men in isolation fail. Okay. You can't conquer alone. 32% of men who say they do not have close relationships, they struggle with anxiety and depression. Men are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide due to isolation, anxiety, depression, all those things are going on. When God created the earth in Genesis, if you look at chapter 1, he created, he said it's good. He created, he said it's good. He created, he did that for 6 days. Fast forward to chapter 2 in Genesis is the first time you see where God said it's not good. He said it's not good for man to be alone. Yes, he was talking about a wife, but he's also talking about companionship, camaraderie. He's talking about a collaboration and actually brotherhood itself too as well. So brotherhood is not a luxury. It's essential for you to succeed in business and in life. So, brothers, in this video, I'm going to be explaining why having brotherhood, having close relationships is essential for you to succeed professionally and personally. So, if you are new to this channel, I'm going to go ahead and share this from uh my Facebook deal. So let me get that going on. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Calvin Gohard Rashard. I am a transformologist, a coach, and I'm the third funniest guy at my church. So go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like, do all comment, do all the YouTubey things that goes on in there. Of course, if you're live with me right now, I'd love to hear your questions, your comments, your takeaways, all those things to interact with me live right here. So I didn't do this. I was supposed to do this ahead of time. So let me just go ahead and send this from the live that's on my page that goes into my group. So there we go. I'm going to do that right now. Give me one quick sec here. So let me know if you live, where you coming from. And of course, like I say, interact. I'd love to hear your questions, comments, anything that goes along with that too as well. So before I get into it, I want to share this weekend. I just came from a 10-day trip to DC, then to my hometown of New Orleans, and back here to Marble Falls. And in that trip itself, it was surrounded around as brotherhood. What in the middle of that is celebrating my mother's 75th birthday. That was the biggest highlight. But of course, in between that, around that, was surrounded by. Good morning, Victoria. Hi, good to see you, sister. Yes, ladies are watching this too as well. This is for you, but it's also for your man or men in your life that you might be able to pass on. So please share it with some folks that might enjoy it. So good to see you, Victoria, my sister. But yeah, so the trip was very eye opening. So I went to DC to celebrate. What's up, Jim? Good to see you, brother. I went to celebrate one of my great friends, brother Devon Barnett was getting married, and I got to go and witness that. And so me and Devon, aka D's, um, is someone who I went to college with, and we were fraternity brothers in Esquire Social Club, now Greek fraternity, and him and four other guys that from our school were all, the other guys that was there being a part of it. Don, one of the guys who sang in my wedding, who also sang in Devon's wedding. Don, big shout out, of course, still sound amazing. E, Don, D's, and Mike Peeler, the OG, all of us were kind of kicking it. And the fellowship was rich. Just hanging out. We had a little cookout before the day before the wedding itself. We got together and just talked about life, chopped up life, kicked it, and had some private conversations around it, all those things like that. Man, it was beautiful, and it made me really reflect back that I think I take it for granted that I have so many deep relationships with men, and not everybody has that. So these guys, let me put it back. Uh, Devon, last year I had to go down there for a conference. So I was actually there a month ago for a conference. That same conference a year ago, I posted like I normally do when I'm getting ready to fly somewhere. And Devon hit me up. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, brother. Devon hit me up and was like, "Yo, I pick you up from the airport. Cancel the hotel. I'm coming. I'm coming to get you. No questions asked." Like we probably hadn't talked other than interact on social media for a little bit, but probably hadn't talked like deeply for years. But that's my brother, And so well, once again, he was right there to pick me up, and we just chopped up life and just celebrating. He was engaged at the time, and was just celebrating this new opportunity he has for his to get married. Just and it was just rich time then. But I think we often don't pay attention how important it is. I've got guys right here, Jim and Chris, brothers I do life with. These are guys that mentor me. I coach them, vice versa, all kind of ways that iron sharpens iron. And, kind of take it for granted. Here's what happened with I took a Uber to get back home at one of the trips there, and the Uber driver is a Indian guy who from Germany but Indian descent, moved to DC to start a business with his cousin. In a matter of 6 weeks, excuse me, 6 months, he lost his father. His father died, his grandmother died, and the gentleman, his cousin that he actually was going to go into business with, was suffering from some lung disorder disease. So he's been in the hospital and back and forth. So he never got a chance to start the business. He also has a 1.5-year old and a newborn child. All this is happening within 6 months. This guy's in his upper 20s, and the anxiety and depression hit so hard that he had a stroke at that young of an age. And it just made me think, and here were several things. And I always pray for divine connections and divine appointments. So it wasn't by chance that I got to be in his vehicle, and I'm of course a coach, a men's coach. This is what I do. And so being in the car with him the whole ride, I was able to coach him and listen to his story, and things are going on. This man doesn't have a connection of other brothers. He's in isolation. He had a lot of, I don't have this, I don't have that. So just a lot of lack mentality, if versus a lack mindset versus abundant or a growth mindset. This is where he was. And rightfully so. I understand where he was at, but I mean, I was helping him to kind of reform his thinking and the stories that he's telling about his parents and his family. Like, instead of this being the reason that you're struggling, this could be the reason why you actually succeed, that the legacy is living through you and the success and the things that God is calling you to do. And so, during the conversation, as I was getting closer to getting dropped off, he was like, "Thank you. I feel so much better just talking with you." I'm like, that's the point. I don't know when's the last time he had a deep conversation to be able to express what was going on in his life. And he had it then. I was able to connect with him on social media. Was able to ask him, hey, told him I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian. Is it okay if I pray with you? And he allowed me to pray with him, pray for him. So I prayed for him before I got out of the car, and it just showed like he didn't have that. Now I'll go to New Orleans. I'm celebrating my 30th high school reunion, and my high school is pretty unique. It was started in 1951 during segregation, and it's St. Augustine High School. It was formed to give young Black boys an opportunity to have a great education, Catholic in a Catholic school, Catholic environment with discipline, education, arts, performance, sports, all those things at a high level. And so it was made for Black boys, and historically, that's who was all gone. Now, my sons are the first generation not to go to St. Augustine High School. The closest we can get is the fact that the Mustangs in Marble Falls are purple, and we were the Purple Knights. We are the Purple Knights, I should say. So that's the setting. Discipline wasn't until 2010 they stopped with the physical discipline, which, of course, all of us veterans realize that they should still have the board. But yes, discipline. We got hit with boards. We got the teacher could put the hands on you. It was never abuse. It was always done in decency and order. And but we love it. It was only when you have just guys around, you can be freer. You can actually express yourself in a different way. You don't have to worry about being embarrassed by the girls around. So some guys, oh, I don't want to go to an all boys school, and they missed out. I'm sorry. It's phenomenal opportunity to sharpen one another, to build one another, actually talk trash and learn how to be resilient. A lot of those things what we learn in there. And so those are just the experiences of just hanging with those guys who I haven't seen, some of them in 30 years, some of them I haven't seen since my wedding. Some of them we go months, years without talking to each other. We could pick right back up because that's what a brotherhood is. St. Augustine is like a fraternity. It's like this, this, there's just, you understand a purple night is a purple night. That's your brothers for life, no matter what tips, whatever issues going on. Also it was eye opening to see 'cause I was a 4'7", 82-pound freshman when I started there. I probably was the smallest kid in history to attend St. Augustine. Grew a foot through high school. I never touched weights until I graduated. And, we have a few guys, there's about five of us that was in pretty good shape. Rest, not so much. We got to work on that. Guys, oh, yeah, I'm going to get with you, Calvin. Yeah, yeah, holla, holla. But we lost seven guys in those 30 years. Excuse me, eight guys in that time. Three to gun violence, unfortunately, and the other five were from neglect, like neglecting their health. So once again, in the right environments, in the right with the right people, can thrust you forward to either do great things or not so great things. Like excellence is something that was established at St. Augustine. Excellence is a part of who I am. Is striving for excellence, not just for me, but for those who I coach and lead along the way. So part of that is that, just recognizing that being in the right room makes a difference. Being with the right people make a difference. So I'm going to kind of break down a few things in here. I'm going to go into four areas that men need for fulfillment, and I'm going to get into that in just a second here too. So here's some points here. Men in isolation are prone to burnout, loneliness, and lack of direction. If you don't have people that can kind of help navigate and like course correct along the way. Sometimes if you're by yourself, you don't know you can't see the label of the jar from inside of the jar. You've got to have somebody in the outside, a coach, a mentor, a brother, a friend in the faith that can actually push you forward, a brother in Christ that can actually make sure you're actually walking in the right direction. Are you walking according to scriptures? Any of those kind of things itself. It's important because if not, you're going to be dealing with what I call the pit of despair. In the pit of despair, there's anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. There is loneliness. There's confusion. There's chaos. There is lack of self-worth. There were poor stories that go on in that area. And once again, in that isolation. If you go to prison and you get in trouble, the worst thing they can give you in punishment is solitary confinement. And as I started thinking about this the other day, we actually been kind of formed with that. If you think about getting it back in elementary school and high school, if you got in trouble, what did they do? You got detention, isolation. You had to go stand outside or bring your desk outside in the hallway. You had to pull your desk up to the teacher or sit in a different spot. High school and the traditional system of schooling was preparing us for two things: to become a good factory worker or to become a prisoner. Just look at it. Getting permission to go use the restroom, when you can do it, when you can eat, when you can sleep, when you can drink, all that stuff is just what happens in the way we were schooled, unfortunately. So didn't know that, didn't understand it before, but I know it now. So some of those systems we have to be careful of. We look at some examples of leaders who have struggled with this isolation and this anxiety and things like that. Is I think about um Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln went through some really tough bouts of depression. Winston Churchill, another great leader who dealt with depression from losses and continued to lose. Both of those guys overcame those things and became great leaders of their countries. But Robin Williams, Heath Ledger, Chris Farley, John Belushi. There's a lot of these entertainers, of course, are in that environment of dealing with the anxiety and depression. Whitney Houston, Michael. I mean, the list goes on and on, especially in the entertainment industry, where isolation in that environment makes it very difficult. These are people who go and share love and good feelings and all these things, and entertain so many in the masses, but are empty on the inside. A lot of it's superficial. They don't have these deep relationships with other men and women that allow them to push forward. And so We've got to have understand that that's something that's there. Here's some stats for you guys. Um, I'm working with this new tablet, and so I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. Um, Men with strong social ties are 50% more likely to live longer and be healthier. Okay, that is from Holt Lundstad study. Also, close friendships improve mental and emotional health by 40%. Mental and emotional health by 40% improvement, um, it, by having a close friend, having close friendships, people that you can bear your heart with, you can share your burdens with, as the Bible talks about sharing burdens with one another. Okay, so these are things we have to make sure that it's necessary. 50% likely to live longer and healthy. 50% by having tight relationships. That's pretty huge if we're not doing that. And we just say, oh, I'm just kind of different. Once again, what are the stories? I'm just kind of different. I'm kind of a loner. I kind of look, you can make all these, put these labels out there to isolate yourself even more versus saying, look, let me just be a little vulnerable, a little awkward until I can get used to having these relationships because I need them. I need to be in places where I can build these relationships. Church, in your community, in recreational establishments, playing basketball, football, whatever it is. These places help you build in a gym or in a studio where we actually community team personal training is all part of the community. It's part of that. Okay. I've been in masterminds with just men. I've done programs where just men need a sacred place to be men by themselves away from women. They need a sacred place. That could be one-on-one, two, just two or three guys, or it could be in a group of guys together itself. And I've created that with More Than Conquerors Men's Challenge, Lionheart, these different programs and things that I've done before. It's something sacred about men being alone because we'll open our hearts a little bit differently. We will use courageous vulnerability when it comes down to being with just guys, different from if a woman was in the room. It's just facts. I've seen it happen where everything would change if there's a female around. So there's parts where we actually need to be able to um, have a sacred place for men to be men. Okay. So let's look at these four areas that key areas that are essential for fulfillment. Okay. Fulfillment in men, of course, this is women too as well, but for men, this is what I'm talking to. Number one is creation. If we're created in God's image, the first thing we know about God is that he is a creator. He created heavens and earth. He created all this. He created man. He created all the things. We're made in his image. It's not a physical image. We're made in his essence. And so the first thing we know about God is that he's a creator. We are creator. He created us to create things. He made us to make things. So whether it's artistic or it's creating families, it's creating ideas, it's creating thoughts, part of creation is what we need to do. Okay, whether it's business, it's building a legacy, whatever any of those particular things, we are built to create. This is part of who we are. Okay, Ephesians 2:2 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ to do good works." Okay, that's Ephesians 2:10. And so here's another stat for you guys. Men who pursue creative outlets report 22% higher levels of life satisfaction. That's from the Journal of Positive Psychology. 22% higher of life satisfaction, whether that's in the business or you're creating a business, you're creating a ministry, you're creating a foundation or anything like that, or you're just doing creative things on the outside, out in nature. You're using your artistic skills. Maybe you can draw. Maybe you do art. Maybe recreation. For me, like physical recreation has been something that feeds me. I'm not very skilled when it comes down to music or art or anything of that sort, but I can create ideas. I can create conversations. I can create new things. I help create things inside of men that they don't see for themselves. They may not see the awesomeness that's inside of them, what God called them to do. So I know how to find their mission and draw it out according to their strengths and create something amazing inside of them, because it's not go out and find your purpose and your mission and your meaning. It's already inside of you. It's for you to go and mine those acres of diamonds that are already inside of you. And sometimes you can't do it yourself. It takes a coach, it takes a mentor, it takes a transformologist to go in and extract those things, extrapolate those particular things on the inside and move them to the outside so that it can serve humanity, so you can actually have an impact, have an influence, and yes, have the income that actually subsides to as well, if that is what it's made for. So once again, if you're watching this and you are not subscribed, go ahead, subscribe, comment, like. I'm live, so just go ahead and talk to me right now if you're live. Okay, so creativity, creation is something that's necessary for us. It's going to bring more life satisfaction. So creation is number one. Number two is connection. Once again, man, it's not good for man to be alone. Connection. We're made to, our identity is brought out in community. It's formed in community. So the more you're at church around Christians, your Christianity will grow. If you're a football player, being around football players, your skills should grow. You look at like folks who talk about the mentors they watch, who they looked up to. Of course, like Kobe looked up to MJ. In LeBron looked up to all both of those guys. So these are folks that you see success, because success leaves clues. So does failure. I can look and see a pattern of success and say, I can follow this blueprint. I can actually pay this person to teach me and guide me in the way. And I also can look at failure and say, I don't want any parts of that. This is something I need to back away from. Okay. So the connection, deep, authentic connection with other mission driven men is essential. Being around other guys that are pursuing, maybe not in the same exact area, but pursuing excellence, pursuing not just being good or good enough, being, complacent, not just stopping, not just being, like I say, good enough, but striving for excellence, striving to be elite, striving to be great, the greatness that's coming out. Good is the enemy of great. Why settle for just being good or good enough? That's not going to serve you. Um, Jim says, and the alternative, if you are around jerks, exactly. You're around jerk. What's that saying? Oh, if you're around, if you're around five jerks, you're going to be the sixth. It's just what it is. If you're around a bunch of losers, you're going to be, the next one. That whole saying is very true. Of you are the average of the five closest people you're around. So I can't let jerks in my circle. Sorry, if you're a jerk, I can love you from afar. We just not you're not gonna be in my inner circle. It just doesn't work that way. So yes, if who you're around makes a difference. Of course, we see that with our kids. There's certain environments. Guess what? It's easier to be a Christian at church on Sundays. Maybe not so easy at Thanksgiving around family. It's easy to be loud and loud and obnoxious in a bar if that's what the setting says. If you're around that, so once again, easy to be to drink a whole lot if you're in a bar. It's just part of it. So the environment makes a difference. You have to look and see all these people in my life. Are they pushing me to be greater, or are they actually bringing me down? So the true connection itself is going to bring loyalty. It's going to bring trust. It's going to edify and grow you along the way. So, um, verse I got for you guys, Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Okay. A brother is born for adversity. Mean I need when life hits, this is when I need to lean on my brother. This is when I need to lean in on the guys that, and me being there, being present for them when it's necessary for them and they're going through their adversity itself. So it's necessary for me to have that. I need to be there. I am my brother's keeper. Those guys I mentioned from high school and the guys from college, I can call them right now, and and as soon as possible, they will get back to me. If I need to crash, I need money and whatever it is, and then they know it's mutual, then we'll meet each other where they are, going through tough stuff. Had friends going through legal issues, going through a lot of different things, but we had to be there. Being there for those individuals makes a big difference. So that connection is part of that. Men with strong social connections report a 70% decrease in feelings of loneliness. 70% decrease in loneliness, just because you have strong social connections. Like this is not just about making money, or just about it's universal. Having these guys, you feel better, you act better, you have more mental capacity, you have more emotional resilience, emotional maturity, because you have these right people in your life. That's why connection matters. Okay. So yes, got to have that. Number three, contribution. Every man needs to be able to contribute. Some people say it's giving back. I don't know if it's necessarily giving back. It could be giving forward, because sometimes you come from communities where you didn't get from, so there's nothing to give back. But it provides opportunity to contribute to the lives of others. So in masterminds and in group coaching and different things like that. I've had situations where guys were getting together and doing business and collaborating and making good money and making a big impact. Able to help each other, like just shorten the learning curve because they've been there before. I help guys shorten the learning curve because I've either been through it myself. Most of the guys I coach are guys that have either been where I've been, or I got the information from, we're already working with other guys. So it's always part of the experience itself. And so, what is it when it says it's more blessed to give than receive? It's true. I feel better when I can give more than I'm receiving. It's more enriching for my life to be able to give more because I'm called to serve at that level. I'm called to be a savage servant. I'm called to be able to be a servant leader. So part of that says I got to contribute to others. I've got to give to humanity. All the books and all the coaching and everything that I've done myself has got to flow through me. I'm just a conduit of what I'm learning. I'm a conduit of what God is showing me and revealing to me by the Holy Spirit. So that part of contribution is necessary. Um, Luke 6:38 says, "Give and it will be given unto you." Okay. So men who engage in acts of service report 28% higher life fulfillment. So to contribute is actually fueling your soul. To contribute, to give is fueling your soul. Okay. So when you know that your work matters, your communication matters, when when you're associating with other folks matters, and how I can give to others. Like right now, you guys are those who participate. You're giving me energy right now. So Jim says sometimes it's knowing how to ask the right question. Right. Sometimes, and guess what? You might have to go through a few of the wrong questions to get to the right question. So it's not always the pouring out; it's the asking. Where are you right now? Brother, tell me what's really going on. What's shaking? What's really going on? How you feeling right now? Are you last week? Are you proud of the things that you've done over the last year? Last week, what did you do that's exciting? What lit you up? What did you do to light somebody else up? This is in a conversation that I can actually pull out and remind folks. On a coaching call last night, we're doing on our back to school challenge. It was pulling out and extrapolating those wins. What do you think? Where am I winning at? Where do I need work at? That's going to happen when it comes down to I can contribute that to someone else. Okay. So 28% higher life fulfillment just from serving others. So for contribution is essential for who you are too as well. And the last one, the first three I learned from Myron Golden, one of my mentors. And I added this one myself, is challenge. We need to challenge each other, and that's part of what happens in the connection that happen inside of a community of like-minded individuals, is being challenged. We've got to have something that says, is that all you got? Is that all you're doing? Like, your close friends, your close iron sharpeners are not going to allow you to settle for the circle of sameness, to just settle for mediocrity, for a mediocre life. They're not going to let you settle for good enoughness. They're going to push you for excellence. They're going to push you towards becoming elite, becoming premier, becoming the top 1 or 3% or whatever you want to call it. That's the part where challenge comes in. Okay. The guys from my high school, we challenge each other to do more. The guys in my fraternity, these guys that my friends, like, that's all you're gonna do. So part of it is having that brothers that's gonna push you to your limits. You know, like, just settling is not an option. That's part of it. Is that all you got? Um, we talk smack and back, and when you have guys around only, you can actually what we call a ribbing, or some of you guys may say playing the dozens or whatever it may be. But we talked about each other. We talk about each other and their mama, your sister, and guess what? You have to deal with it. You had to suck it up. I know part of this, thing about bullying, and so I get all the whole part of it. But some of that, it was in a I guess, safe bullying in a safe environment, whatever you want to call it. But like, you learn how to fight back, not necessarily physically, but you learn how to actually articulate yourself. So me being a little guy, I knew how to make myself bigger by having words. Some of those words were very foul in those days because I didn't know Jesus yet. But once again, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to be able to create from that, and then you'll get challenged from guys. Also, pushing each other, even in the academics. Like we push each other to have better grades. Like I wanted to beat you, I wanted to beat you, he wanted to beat me. So we fighting to get good grades. And we fighting to get to be better at sport, fighting to be better in PE class. There's always a challenge that was going on. So we've got to have that part of that. So Ecclesiastes 4:9, two are better than one because they give a good return for the labor. We come together. That's saying that many hands make light work. That's part of it. Um, in the high school, like so I never touched weights until I graduated, like as I said earlier. Cedric, my brother, who was at the reunion, and we every time I'm in town, we connect. In my wedding, this is my dude, this is my dog. And he was the inspiration to challenge me to be better. To start, I remember when I started working out, I was on the machine. I was about 120, 125 pounds, and I can remember being on the chest press machine, and I couldn't do 90 pounds. And I can remember saying, "Come on, Cal, you got at least better do your body weight." I'm like, "I'm trying." But if you just said, "Nah, that's good enough. You good with 40 pounds?" Nah, I said, I never forget it. This is 30 years ago. Come on, Cal. You got to at least be able to do your body weight. I didn't know anything about weight training. I knew nothing about strength training whatsoever. But that was the first lesson. I've got to at least be able to do my own body weight. And I wasn't doing that. So that was the first push and challenge that Cedric gave me to do more. He also would challenge me because he had these huge triceps. That was one thing he focused on. And he would do this thing and shake it, pop, and pop his tricep out. And I'd just be like, jerk. But it was a little bit of showboat, but it was like, come get me. Come follow me. And guess what? 30 years later, Cedric is still in good shape. He's in great shape. Of all the guys from the reunion itself, um, he and I and a few guys were probably in the top five. And so that was pretty cool accomplishment as far as fit and healthy and well. But he was one of the inspirations to get me going. And for him to just say, "No, you good enough." Nah, that wasn't gonna happen. He had to push me. So who's your Cedric? I am that for guys when it comes down to the physical body, mentally, spiritually, emotional, relational, financial. All those things are what I'm going to push you to excellence. If I'm your coach, we don't settle. We don't settle for less. That's just part of it. That's just part of who I am. I'm going to kill your excuses. It's all part of it itself. So my encouragement to you is if you are working in isolations and you're making all the reasons, I'm just a loner. I'm a I'm just an introvert. None of that flies. Okay. You still need community. So whether it's in a group of guys from church or in your community doing recreation, Bible studies, uh, there's groups of individuals. Even if you're in business, being in coaching, if you're looking for a coach that helps dig in there, because I know most men don't have business problems; they have personal problems that show up in their business, and I help transform and dig into those personal problems so that you can prosper, that so you can live the abundant and full life that John 10:10 talks about. So not settling. So having a right coach or mentor is going to be essential for you moving forward too as well. So yes, success personally, professionally, it's going to take having brotherhood. It's going to take being in the vicinity, being in the room, being on the Zoom, being wherever it is necessary, that folks won't let you settle for less, that brothers will hold you accountable. Okay. It's biblical. Jesus could have did it by himself, but he brought on 12 and many more to follow along with him. David, you know, probably could have tried it by himself. And times he did stupid stuff by himself. He was in isolation. If you look about it, when um, he was in isolation to see Bathsheba. He was in isolation to think about committing murder. He was in isolation on those particular things. But when he went to battle, he had his mighty men alongside of him. That was all part of it, the collaboration. So we need this to survive. So I challenge you to look, get out of the pit, get out of the isolation, reach out if you need some help. You can find me in all the social medias and things like that. Reach out, guys. If it's something for you, business or personal, reach out. Love to be a coach. You can always join the community inside my Facebook group, my Lionheart Facebook group. That's around there somewhere. You can find that and be a part of that too as well. But um, without brotherhood, you can survive, but you won't thrive. You won't do great things in your own little private box. So get out of the box, get out of the comfort zone, push to be a part of a brotherhood of men that's going to cause you to be excellent. So hope this is helpful. Once again, like, subscribe, share, do all the comments, all the good fun YouTubey things, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. God bless. Go hard. Peace.